The clock is ticking. 39 years old, and still, somehow, still there, right at the summit of a sport built for the young, the fast, the fearless. Novak Djokovic should be a memory by now, a name etched into history books, a legend admired from a distance. Instead, he's out there, right now, chasing ghosts, chasing records, chasing something that most players his age can only dream of touching. 5 tournaments. That's all he's played this season. 5. In a sport where rivals log dozens of matches a year, Djokovic has rationed himself, calculated every step, every swing, every ounce of energy like a man playing a long game most people can't even see the shape of. And yet, deep runs at the Australian Open. Deep runs at Wimbledon. The kind of results that should be impossible for a body that's been fighting time itself for years. But time, eventually, collects its debts. At Wimbledon, the story turned. Jannik Sinner, young, ruthless, hungry, stood across the net from the 24-time Grand Slam champion and did what once seemed unthinkable. Straight sets, no mercy, no fairy tale. Sinner took his revenge, clean and total, and marched on to lift the title for the second year running on that hallowed grass. For Djokovic, it was another chapter closed, another sign, whispered quietly by the tennis world, that maybe, just maybe, the end was creeping closer. And yet, somewhere behind the numbers, behind the rankings, behind the cold arithmetic of age versus ambition, there is a man who knows Djokovic better than almost anyone alive. Goran Ivanisevic, former coach, former confidant, a man who has stood in Djokovic's corner through titles, through collapses, through the kind of pressure that breaks lesser men. And when a Croatian outlet dared to ask him the question everyone once answered, how much longer can this possibly go on? Ivanisevic didn't flinch. He said it plainly. Djokovic himself as a target, not a vague hope. A date, the Los Angeles Olympic Games. 2 years from now, 2 more years of grinding, of traveling, of stepping onto center courts against players half his age, all building toward one final, defining moment under the Olympic lights. 2 years. Let that sink in. In a sport where careers are measured in fleeting peaks and sudden, brutal declines, Djokovic is drawing up a 2-year battle plan like a general preparing for one last campaign. And Ivanisevic believes it, not with blind loyalty, but with the certainty of someone who has watched this man operate up close. Knowing him, Ivanisevic said, he's able to push through with the schedule he's playing, with a head that's incredible, special. A head, not a serve, not footwork, not raw athleticism. A mind. That is what Ivanisevic points to. The one weapon that doesn't erode with age, the one edge that has kept Djokovic dangerous long after his body started sending warning signs. Because make no mistake, this is a man who is currently ranked 7th in the world. 7th. And still, somehow, that feels almost like an insult to what he's capable of. Earlier this very season, he climbed as high as 3rd. 3rd, at 39, in an era stacked with generational young talent. Sinner, Alcaraz, Zverev, the so-called new golden generation, the ones tipped to define the next decade of tennis. And where does Ivanisevic place Djokovic among them? Right behind them. Not above, not yet, but right there, in the conversation, breathing down their necks. Those 4 are above everyone else, Ivanisevic said. 4, not 3. Djokovic included, even now, even at this age, even after the losses, even after Wimbledon. It's a strange, almost surreal kind of respect, being spoken about in the same breath as players born a full generation later. But that's exactly where Novak Djokovic still stands, on the edge of greatness's next chapter, refusing to fully exit the frame. But this story isn't only about an aging champion clinging to relevance. There's another thread running through it, quieter, but just as revealing. Because while Ivanisevic reflects on Djokovic's twilight years, he's also building something new. A different project, a different kind of hunger. He speaks of a young player, one bursting with talent, one whose game he clearly adores. He's young, he's one of the biggest talents, Ivanisevic said, almost lighting up at the thought. Someone whose game is enjoyable, is attractive, is powerful. High praise from a man who doesn't hand out compliments lightly. This is a coach who has stood beside one of the greatest to ever play the game, and now he sees something special brewing in someone new. But even this brighter, forward-looking story carries its own shadow of struggle. Injuries, bad timing, a talented young player finally hitting form, only to be dragged back by physical setbacks just when momentum mattered most. It's a shame that at the moment when he was in shape, he had problems with injuries, Ivanisevic admitted. But then, a flicker of hope, we found the right people to solve it. And at Wimbledon, this rising star did step onto the court, not at full strength, not at his sharpest, but he played. He fought. It could have been better, Ivanisevic conceded, but it was great that he played at all. There's something almost poetic in that sentiment, the idea that simply showing up, simply competing through adversity, is itself a kind of victory. And Ivanisevic isn't just hoping for recovery. He's predicting a rise. I think he's capable of getting into the top 10 by the end of the year, he said, with the conviction of a man who has seen champions built from raw potential before. And he's definitely a top 5 player. Just keep him healthy. Just keep him healthy. 4 words carrying the weight of an entire career's trajectory. Because in tennis, talent alone has never been enough. Health, timing, resilience, these are the invisible battles fought long before a single point is played. So here we stand, at this strange crossroads in tennis history. On one side, a 39-year-old legend, refusing to bow out, mapping a 2-year road toward one last Olympic dream in Los Angeles. On the other, a young talent, still finding his footing, still battling his own body, but already being spoken of in the same breath as future Grand Slam champions. 2 stories, 2 timelines. One coach, standing at the intersection of both, watching a legacy fight for its final act, while helping shape the next one before it even begins. And somewhere out there, on some distant Wimbledon second-round court, a young Frenchman named Phil Svell to Matteo Berrettini, a small, quiet moment lost in the noise of bigger headlines. But even that defeat is a reminder, in tennis, every ending carries the seed of another beginning. The only question that remains is this: when the Los Angeles Games finally arrive, will Novak Djokovic still be standing there one last time, chasing history? Or will the sport, at last, have moved on without him? For now, at least, the answer remains unwritten. And that uncertainty, that fragile, thrilling uncertainty, is exactly why the world can't stop watching.